Good morning, guys. It's Ryan over at Magnum Sports, and we're actually going to be throwing out some shooting tips today, and we want to talk about a few different things, accuracy, and the most important thing, which is our trigger control, which we've harped on before, but we want to go ahead and address it because it's so important. It is the most important fundamental that we can apply when it comes to pistol, rifle, or shotgun shooting. So before I get going, I'm going to go ahead and clear out this gun. It is clear, hammered down, and I will be using this gun to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about. So we've kind of talked about mastering trigger control and what that looks like, and how much finger to put on the trigger and our rearward press of that trigger. And it should legitimately surprise us every time that gun goes bang. If we're not surprised, we're doing something wrong. If I use this in my CPL classes for very first time shooters, I tell them, you watch today, the very first shot you take will be the most accurate, and then we're going to try to compensate for the recoil of the gun, and we're going to mess everything up. But when we do in fact have surprise, we tend to be the most accurate. When we don't allow our body to drive the gun down, or we don't change our grip or improve our grip, once we start pressing that trigger, we're going to be more accurate. So the big tip for today that I want to give you, minus your trigger, because the trigger is the most important fundamental, and you guys dry practicing at home is an integral part of that. It's super important. But I want you to learn also just to say good enough is good enough. We struggle with this with a lot of guys, gals, all alike, that they try to stop their sights at that very moment when their sights line up with the target. And the fact of the matter is that you're imperfect, just as am I. And until we're literally a mechanical object, right, we can't hold the gun perfectly stable. It's not possible. So what you guys should see, and I'll draw it up for you so we can see it, is we have a bullseye on our target, and I'm not an artist, and I don't pretend to be, so let's just call it what it is. If we were doing some center fire leak type stuff, and this is the target we're looking at, too many people try to stop their sight right at this moment. And when they do that, they anticipate the shot, they try to break the trigger, they try to predict the trigger, and usually what it causes is a shot down here, or down here, or down here, depending on how much it's been amplified, right? Other things to consider, because a lot of shooters will come down and over to the left, like this. So not only are we screwing up by trying to stop our sight at the perfect moment, but we're also improving our grip with our offhand, and it's causing our shots to drop down and over to the left. Obviously a problem, right? And some people will try to compensate by just adjusting their sights, but it doesn't fix the problem. In order to fix the problem, you have to realize that you're imperfect. This took a long time for me to get down, just because I wanted to be the most accurate and I wanted to feel like I had the most control. What I did find, though, is when I allow my sights to naturally track and I worry about nothing except for the press of the trigger, my sights do this figure 8-like motion, right? And I can tell you that this is a lot more accurate than trying to stop your sights at any of these points, or at that point, and anticipating the shot and causing the shot to break. So if we get our sights and we get proper sight alignment and we notice the movement, we have to have the conscious decision to say, good enough is good enough. And typically what we'll find, guys, is we actually beat up the 10 ring, right? Sure, we might get a flyer. That little guy, I wouldn't worry about that little guy. It's an old joke from the military. But all things considered, when you can control yourself to the point to where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to call good enough, and I'm going to let that bullet fly, realizing how imperfect we are and that we can't hold the gun perfectly still, we're going to end up being a heck of a lot more accurate. You guys, I hope this is super helpful to you, and I hope that you guys continue to look at improving yourself through training. And if you guys need anything, you can always reach out to us here at Magnum Sports, where we're happy to have these conversations and help. As always, shoot straight, have fun, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the range.